Well, you may have been taught that the first enslaved Africans in North America arrived in Jamestown, but recent research suggests that that's not the case.
In fact, a local historian and his nonprofit have discovered the first enslaved people actually arrived in what is now Fort Monroe. And now he's working to spread the truth. On your side at 6, Terrence Dixon has the story.
NBC 12 celebrates Black history.
(1619) is one of the most important events in America's history.
If these waters could talk, maybe they can tell us about the history that's often been overlooked.
We have history here in Hampton that nobody else can tell. No other state has our history. Virginia has so many firsts because we're the oldest colony in the United States.
It was right here at what is now Fort Monroe, near this marker where historians say the very first Africans in English North America arrived after being ripped away from their homeland.
We have documentation that goes back to 1619, 1620, that shows us exactly how many Africans were sold. We know which plantations they ended up on. But the fact is that this information has been there for the past 403 years.
But for centuries, Pearson says that story was ignored or twisted.
A lot of historians did not do research. They copied other people's work. There are a lot of history books that are still telling a false narrative.
Calvin Pearson is the founder of Project 1619, not to be confused with the New York Times 1619 Project. The group uncovering true stories, such as where the first enslaved Africans arrived. It wasn't in Jamestown, but rather at what was then known as Old Point Comfort in 1619.
We talk about the first enslaved Africans. This is not just Black history. This is America's history. You cannot tell the true, full story of America without telling the story of the enslavement of Black people.
It was history that Pearson says he didn't learn growing up.
These are parts of history that you cannot ignore. You cannot sweep them under the rug like they didn't exist.
For nearly 5 decades, Pearson has rallied to educate everyone about the true legacy of the first generation of enslaved Africans.
The Africans that were brought here were kings, and they were queens, and they were princesses, and they were princesses. They were engineers. They were agronomists, they were astrologers, they were mathematicians.
Pearson believes his research factored in President Obama's decision to declare Fort Monroe as a national monument in 2011. But Pearson says the work is far from over.
What we're trying to do is correct the footnotes of history that have been inaccurate about the first enslaved Africans.
On your side, Terrence Dixon, NBC 12.
And all month long.